Hello everyone, welcome back to Blacksmith Studios. My name is Jack and the time has finally come for the Fantastic Four First Steps teaser breakdown. Now, I know I don't break down every trailer that releases on films or shows or anything like that, but I wish I could, but I do always try and break down the big films, especially the ones that mean a lot to me, and Fantastic Four definitely fits both of those categories. I grew up watching the 2005 Fantastic Four film, and its sequel, and I fell in love with these characters and looking deeper into the comics lore, especially after Marvel announced that they were doing a Fantastic Four film. I realized what makes these characters and that kind of Silver Age of comics so special. Well, after a long wait, we have our first official publicly released teaser trailer for the film, and honestly, it is gorgeous. Now, before I kick off the breakdown, please watch the trailer in full before watching this video. I won't be showing any clips because I don't want to be copyrighted. My Joker breakdown did do a copyright thing, so I want to avoid that as much as possible. So watch it, then come back. Secondly, I must reiterate, these teaser trailers are solely for studios to present a proof of concept to audiences. Not all the VFX is finished, and the teaser's intention isn't to give you the story, it's to give you a taste of the main characters, their behavior, mannerisms, a touch of the story, but it's mainly to show you the tone and the atmosphere for the movie. And thirdly, for those listening, thank you. There are so many YouTubers out there who do breakdowns, and I'm really grateful that you've come here. I always try to ensure that my breakdowns are my genuine thoughts and feelings without being influenced by the mass of fan opinions, and I'm truly inspired by channels like New Rockstars who try and present information on a educational level rather than a sort of objective level, whilst also try and put my subjective thoughts and feelings into it. So I do appreciate that you are watching. But anyway, enough of my rambling, so let's get into it. So we start the trailer in an aspect ratio more akin to the older 60s era televisions, as we see elevated doors open up to the Baxter Building's 31st floor. Now, this is essentially the main living space for the Fantastic Four. We see Reed and Sue exit with what I believe to be an interviewer to try and get into the lives of the Fantastic Four. See, the Fantastic Four in the comics are also seen as celebrities, just like the Avengers that we know in the 616 universe. However, the story behind their fame is very different. When the team get their powers in the comics, Ben Grimm is the only one whose powers cannot turn off and cannot be hidden. Well, to stop the general public from just pointing fingers at Ben and all the attention on him, Reed revealed to the world that they all had powers and that they were a united team of the Fantastic Four. This was kind of to make Ben feel better by sharing the fame among them as a united team, and I believe that's what's going on here. Remember, Feige has already confirmed that this is not a typical origin story. He didn't say it wasn't an origin story, though. And as the teaser progresses, you can see that this is more of a Year 2 Fantastic Four story with an essence of their origin, of course, as well. Sue and Reed welcome the interviewer to the Baxter Building, and already you can see the 60s inspiration throughout the room. Reed explains to the man that the team always comes together at 7 p.m. on a Sunday for family dinner, and they make a point that they do this without fail. This is a really sweet thing to show in the film. What drives the team and what makes them different to the X-Men and Avengers is that they are family first and heroes second. So we cut to the Marvel Studios title card. The aspect ratio returns to the standard cinematic ratio, and we see a shot of the Baxter Building from the outside, and it is absolutely stunning. I'm really glad that they made it feel different to the Avengers Tower in the MCU. Now, for those who don't know, this film is still set in an alternate universe to the MCU. If you watch my Avengers Doomsday Pitch, I kind of go into a little bit detail, but I've actually been calling this Earth 4444, or 4444, basically 4 4s. It's obvious. But we will likely find out its true designation somewhere down the line. Could have something to do with the fact that it's a 60s era sort of universe. Another thing to note about the tower is that from the set photos or that we saw at San Diego Comic-Con, I believe, it shows this retro-futuristic version of New York in a map, and the Baxter Building is actually attached to the launch pad that the Fantastic Four's rocket is on. We actually see this later, and I'll point this out. We then see a shot of the family dinner with Herbie. Now, we don't know who is playing Herbie just from this trailer, so I don't know whether the character is male or female in this version, but Herbie, regardless, is adorable. Herbie definitely fits the aesthetic of the universe the film is set in, and it's so amazing how Herbie helps cook the family's dinner. Herbie is essentially a robot companion to the Fantastic Four. I believe he was created by the Xandarians. I don't know if they're going to go into this, but I think Herbie's going to be pivotal in warning the team about Galactus is coming. We then see Herbie approach Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, and I'm very happy with how he looks. Yes, a lot of people have complained about his appearance, but I don't follow the crowd in my thoughts. Hence why you're here listening to me. This is my genuine thoughts, not influenced by people going, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. I'm very easygoing when it comes to films. So a lot of people have complained about his appearance, saying that he looks terrible, he looks awful. The Thing does look good. Yes, it did take me out a little when I watched it the first few times. The use of practical and CGI effects are good, but they're not quite there yet. Now, having watched it even more, it has grown on me, but I will admit, yes, the effects aren't 100% fantastic, but damn it, I knew I would make that pun eventually. But yeah, it's not the point. As long as it looks good, and I'm sure the VFX will be improved as the film comes out. I mean, in later shots, we see Ben in a better way. He actually looks a lot better. But yeah, let's not completely rain on these effects. And to be honest, could be down to budgetary reasons as well. And this is the first time that they've tried to make The Thing in this version. As time goes on, their use of the VFX will get better and better and better, as they will have more information to go off, if that makes sense. And as well, the design, very comic accurate, yet still very modernized, and his suit is just awesome. I mean, when he's clapping later on, the sounds of the pebbles it's a really good attention to detail. And like I said, his suit is very, very fitting for this universe and this era. Now, here Ben tastes Herbie's sauce for family dinner, and what I noticed was that he pauses for a while before he starts clapping. Now, this is because Ben is very, very heartwarming and kind, and he doesn't want to hurt Herbie's feelings, so he tries to figure out a way to avoid that as much as possible. So he starts clapping, congratulates Herbie, thanks him for what he's done, but then suggests putting in more garlic into the sauce to make it better. But he makes a point. He says, the sauce is still great, but it adds a bit more zip to it, and I thought it was really cute. We then see another floor to the Baxter building. I think this could be the 34th floor. Normally in the comics, that's where he keeps all his computers. But with this being a retrofuturistic universe, this room has a chalkboard instead. Or it could be the 33rd floor, where Reed does most of his mechanical work and his experiments. So his laboratory, essentially. But anyway, we cut to a shot of Reed writing on the very board that we just spoke about. And looking at certain pictures he's drawn, it could be that he's trying to discover multiversal travel, or at least wormhole travel. Now, there have been rumors that Reed and the rest of the Fantastic Four are actually from Earth 616, for the MCU, of course, and that they're trying to get home. Now, he does look a little bit concerned, a bit of worry on his face here, so it could be that he's trying to figure out a way to travel from one universe to the next, and it's making him nervous, which may actually be a pivotal thing in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars films. Again, watch my pitches on those. I worked really, really hard on those, and I did incorporate a lot of this. After this movie releases, it negates the entirety of my Doomsday and Secret Wars pitch, so please check them out whilst we haven't got this film out yet. We also see the Fantastic Four spacesuits in the back of this shot, actually. Now, they're not the same ones that they wore in the first space trip that we heard about, but maybe they're ones that they're going to wear in future missions or the next mission. This could be what Reed Richards is actually studying for. What I do love is that in the background of the audio, you can actually hear a countdown, which was the whole theme behind this teaser release, a countdown to launch, referencing the Apollo 11 launch, and how the Fantastic Four in this universe are equally as monumental as that event in our world history, especially at that time. We then see the whole team in their spacesuits. Now, these are different to the ones that we just saw, as I said, and Ben Grimm is here and not yet transformed into the Thing, so this is clearly just before the first mission when they got their powers. We see a camera crew taking pictures of the team here too, again connecting to the real-life events of the Apollo 11 launch. The astronauts were seen in real life in the same exact way that we're seeing here. What I noticed as well is that the aspect ratio is back to being that smaller 60s era ratio. So it's interesting that some shots of the film, if they are kind of like watching it from a TV or a 60s era, we're going to see it like that. So I think all the scenes with the Fantastic Four in the past during their first space mission, this is going to be the aspect ratio as a kind of cool little reference and a cool little aesthetic choice for the film, let's say. We then see a shot of the Fantastic Four's ship taking off on their first mission, what I assume to be their first mission, and honestly, the ship looks beautiful as well. It looks like what an Apollo rocket would look like in this very universe. We then see Reed talking to Sue in bed. As Reed speaks, we see shots of the spacecraft with Reed and Sue as Sue starts to flicker in and out of the visible light spectrum. We then see Ben Grimm in a darkened alley as the Thing now. Now in this shot, we can see people run away in the distance, likely scared of how Ben now looks. And in fact, we actually kind of see Ben covered up in a large overcoat and hat to hide away. This is kind of what he usually wears. He wore it in the 2005, the Michael Chiklis version. He definitely wore this sort of attire when hiding his appearance. We actually see Ben approach a shop window here with a TV screen where we actually see him, just before his first mission, before he got his powers, and he's in an interview with Reed. It's quite sad, this, because Reed talks to the camera and holds Ben close and says that Ben is the best pilot in the world, whilst Ben jokingly corrects him and says that he's the best looking pilot, only for the TV to switch off, revealing the Thing's face in his reflection, clearly showing how he was a bit snarky with how his appearance was before. He's like, I'm the better looking one. And then suddenly he's now the Thing and he feels the complete opposite. It's really sad. We then cut to Johnny Storm. He jumps off a balcony and he flames on. I cannot wait to see this part of the movie. And we actually see the rest of the team here too in the background. So this is likely something has happened. And they ask Johnny to make a head start. They ask him to scope out the area or figure out what the problem is while they try and catch up. The VFX on Johnny flaming on as well is great. All of these shots are great. Absolutely fantastic. Funnily enough, as we see all these shots, we have Reed's voice in the background as he was speaking to Sue in bed. He mentions that when they went up the first time, as into space, she wasn't invisible, Ben wasn't a rock, and Johnny couldn't catch on fire. Kind of saying how so much has changed just from such a small, decision, really, that spiraled into a huge task and then a huge consequence. He likely feels guilty here. But we hear Sue argue back as she states that Ben has always been a rock, Johnny has always been Johnny, and she is right here. It's a beautiful line that I just really think it just shows how well the writers have written this story and how well they've written these characters from such a small line of dialogue. As Sue says this, we actually see shots of her and Ben together. This moment feels like Ben is comforting Sue for whatever reason, which fits the fact that she says that Ben has always been a rock. He's always been the one to hold everyone up and be there for them no matter what. We then see Johnny playing around in his spacesuit, pissing about, to be honest. Now, what Sue means when she states that Johnny has always been himself is that she is saying that he's always been this show-off hothead, and so his powers do resemble that. The next shot we see is of Johnny blasting off by himself into space. I think this is likely to chase down the Silver Surfer or even get into Galactus' ship. That's just my theory anyway. And we then cut to Sue using her powers to create a force field. Now, what I love about Sue's abilities here is that they are vastly different to how they've looked in previous counterparts. This version actually seems like she is manipulating the light spectrum to make an invisible wall, rather than just this blue light effect. Now, Sue's speech here is to inspire Reed into seeing the family situation from another perspective. Not just the fact that these powers are coincidentally connected to the family members' personalities, but the fact that nothing has changed. Johnny, even though he has powers, is still a hot-headed show-off, but he's still Sue's brother. Ben is still the kindest person of the entire family, who is, as Sue puts it, a rock. And now that shows on the outside. And Sue, although she can literally go invisible, she will always be there for Reed. It's such a sweet sentiment that truly speaks for the film. We then see a shot of Reed and Sue kissing as we cut to Johnny, now in space, just floating there. He looks scared here. It kind of reminds me of when Chris Evans' Johnny Storm chased after the Silver Surfer and then ran out of air at a high altitude. So I wouldn't be surprised if Joseph Quinn's Johnny did the same thing, but I gotta admit, another gorgeous shot. The next shot we see is of the team on what seems to be the same balcony we saw before, with Johnny jumping off it, as they look out to a New York City skyline as a meteor shower approaches. I'm assuming as part of the coming of Galactus. Now, firstly, the skyline of New York is very similar to the New York 616. However, you can see the fusion of the retro-futuristic aesthetic with other buildings shown around. Now, I think there is more to this meteor shower as we see lightning within it. So, my thought is that this is more of a cosmic storm of sorts, possibly. This could be from the Silver Surfer or maybe from Galactus, but honestly, I'm not 100% sure. If you have any ideas or more details of this little storm here, let me know. And I also note as well that as we see this storm, we hear Sue state that whatever life throws at them, they will face it together. Another example of how powerful their bond is. We cut to some children in the street looking up at this meteor storm of sorts, and what's cool is that they're all wearing Fantastic Four merchandise, more specifically for the Thing. Now, this makes me think that he is eventually beloved by the public. So whereas we start with maybe people being a bit intolerant of him, eventually they will love him. We then see the Fantastic Car, racing through New York, and I'm really happy with the design of the Fantastic Car in this version. It really fits the universe and the style and the way they want this universe to look. However, I do hope we get a more upgraded version in the future, especially if the team are thrown into 616. We're then shown Johnny flying through New York, as we see more of the retro-futuristic aesthetic that I've mentioned before. The city is really giving me Jetsons vibes here, of this sort of space age cityscape merge with the classic New York we know too well. And this gives the film some freshness away from the mainline MCU projects and gives us something very unique, artistic, and brand new. We then see the Thing running through the streets. These sequence of shots, funnily enough, feel like the team are gathering themselves, like an assemble moment, or even separating to face the threat of Galactus. Separately, maybe a few different heralds around, and they're all separating to face them individually. Reed and Sue could be in the Fantastic Car. Johnny is obviously flying through New York, and Ben is running. So I must say as well, Ben's VFX looks much better here. It looks so much better. Not that I had a big issue with it, but I just think that it looks far better here than the dinner scene earlier. Then comes the most confusing shot of the entire trailer, John Malkovich. Now, there have been many theories and rumours of who Malkovich is playing, and I've come to the conclusion that I have no idea at all. I don't see him being Mole Man. I heard Puppet Master was an option, but again, I don't see it. There are rumours of him playing Franklin Storm, the father of Johnny and Sue Storm, but once again, I don't see it. So, if you have any theories at all, because this is making me literally insane, please let me know. A few quick shots as well. We see one of Reed in space, then we see New York as the shadow of Galactus looms over. Fantastic shot. And you can see a bit more of the space age aesthetic in New York here. In fact, on the far right of the screen, we can actually see the Baxter building in the distance with the rocket on its launch pad. We then get a close-up shot of Galactus from the back as well in the next shot. But we don't get to see his face in this trailer. I believe the Comic-Con trailer did show his eyes, but this trailer doesn't really show much of his face. But I'd like to talk about Galactus quickly as well. His design looks fantastic. Damn it, again, I've used that pun. I tried to avoid it throughout the whole breakdown, I promise. But yes, his design is fantastic. And much better than that sentient cloud we got in the Rise of the Silver Surfer movie, as many people will, of course, agree. What people are complaining about here is his size. Now, if you are a person who is complaining about his size, please do a little research on Galactus first, okay? he can change size. Yes, we will see him as planet size in this movie. I can guarantee it. If he doesn't, come back here and yell at me. I don't care. He will definitely be planet size. But the point is, he is reducing his size so he can go into Earth's atmosphere and walk about, essentially. Why, though? Well, my thought is that he's actually looking for something. I think he's looking for Franklin Richards, the son of Reed and Sue. But whatever the reason is, we need the Fantastic Four to defeat Galactus. Well, we hope that they defeat Galactus. There are many theories that they actually lose, but regardless, they need to fight Galactus, and him being a little smaller can make the threat feel feasible for them to actually defeat him. Whether or not they defeat him, of course, remains to be seen, but the fact remains, Galactus shouldn't just be a massive planet-sized entity throughout the entire movie. Otherwise, you kind of think, what have the Fantastic Four got? You know? And whether they use the Ultimate Nullifier like in the comics, we really don't know. I do have faith that Marvel are going to give us a great iteration of the Fantastic Four, and Galactus, and whatever characters they bring us. Another detail in this shot as well is that the Statue of Liberty is green again. So no longer bronze like in Earth 616, signifying that this is definitely a separate universe. As though you haven't had enough evidence of that already. We then see Sue closing her speech from before about facing anything life throws at them together, as she finishes by saying, as a family. I'm really glad Sue Storm seems to be at the front of this movie, as she is the glue that holds the team together, and gathering from her wonderful speech in this teaser, she is really holding up to that role. But anyway, the final shot we see is of the team all suited up in their suits on a stage that looks like a 60s era television show, with a lot of the use of TV motifs and references in this teaser, and the fact that the Fantastic Four seem to have a sort of documentary about themselves within this film, then this could be a shot of like a TV show that they're on. It's all about them, showing more of their celebrity status. And yes, I love the suits. It really feels like they've been pulled straight out of a comic book, and I hope this colour scheme continues throughout the MCU going forward. The white and the blue really, really work. Now, for those general audiences that probably don't like these suits because, well, they don't really care about the artistic influence and they just want to have good-looking, cool suits, then these may not be good for them, and that's fine. However, I will say that these suits are clearly for this film, okay? If they are going into the Earth 616, I believe that we will see similar looking suits in the future of the MCU, but I also think that we're going to get much more modern suits in projects like Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, possibly in a similar vein to the Earth 838 Richards that we saw in Multiverse of Madness. Maybe not the black and blue. We might see black and blue eventually, but I think they're going to stick with the blue and white for a bit. Regardless of what people say and any arguments against them, I just love these suits and I love this teaser and I can't wait to see more. But anyway, thank you all so much for listening to this breakdown. I hope you did enjoy it. This one is on the longer side. I took a lot of time to edit this as well, so I really do appreciate the time you've taken to listen to me ramble on. If you did like this video, then please do like and subscribe. I'm trying to build to 500 subscribers as soon as possible so I can release my Spider-Man 4 pitch to you all. It's based on King in Black and it's set in the same story as my Doomsday and Secret Wars pitch, so I'd love if you could subscribe so we can get that out there. Please comment down below your thoughts on this teaser and let me know how excited you are for the Fantastic Four First Steps to release. And hey, here's a quick question of the video, let's say. Who is John Malkovich playing in First Steps? Now, if you don't know or have no idea, that's fine. But I would love to hear you pitch an idea to me. And I'm going to try and do this more often in these videos of giving you a question and you have to give me like a little mini pitch. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your own pitches as well. You all have so many great ideas. And I'd love for this to kind of stick around. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you all again so much for watching. And I hope you all have a great day.